A courtroom erupts in tension the moment she steps through the door. The sheriff's wife, eyes blazing, points a finger at Judge Caprio. "I'll shut this court down," she screams. Silence descends. Every head turns, every breath catches. But Judge Caprio's next words? They would leave her completely speechless. Today, we witness a confrontation that nobody in this small town will ever forget. The sheriff's wife, known for her fiery temper and untouchable reputation, storms into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom with a threat that shakes the very walls. Her voice echoes with anger and entitlement, demanding power where she has none. The courtroom holds its collective breath. Judge Caprio, calm yet commanding, meets her fury not with fear, but with wisdom. What unfolds is a battle of arrogance versus justice, ego versus morality. Every word, every pause, every reaction in this courtroom tells a story of pride, heartache, and the undeniable weight of the law. By the end, no one walks away unchanged. But what happened next left the entire courtroom speechless. Madison Carter storms into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom like the world owes her an apology. Head-to-toe Prada, Chanel earrings swinging with every sharp step, her Louis Vuitton clutch clutched like a weapon. She barely glances at the packed benches. The sheriff's badge on her husband's belt glints under the overhead lights, a silent reminder of the power she thinks shields her. She slams her hand on the front row, demanding attention, her voice cutting through the usual courtroom murmurs. "I'm warning you, Judge. I'll shut this court down if I have to." The words ricochet off the marble walls. Judge Caprio doesn't flinch. He leans back slightly in his chair, eyes scanning the courtroom calmly, his voice steady and patient. "And why would you think that's necessary, madam?" he asks. His tone isn't angry, it isn't dismissive, it's precise, intentional, the kind of calm that makes even the boldest person second-guess themselves. Madison doesn't hesitate. She scoffs, the sound dripping with entitlement. "Because I am the sheriff's wife. You think a little robe and gavel can stop me?" Her laughter is sharp, cutting, echoing against the tall ceilings. Around the courtroom, whispers grow. Spectators shift in their seats, uneasy but unable to look away. Even the bailiffs glance at each other, eyebrows raised. This isn't just another day in court. This is a storm dressed in designer labels. A young clerk nervously tries to intervene. "Ma'am, please, we need to follow proper procedure." "Procedure?" Madison interrupts, spinning to face the clerk. "Do you know who I am? Do you understand my influence?" Her voice rises, echoing like a clap of thunder. Her eyes flash with anger. She taps the gavel of the judge's desk lightly, as if daring it to challenge her authority. Judge Caprio remains seated, his calm a shield against her fury. "Madam, respect is earned here, not assumed," he says softly, but the courtroom leans in to catch every word. "Your husband's badge does not give you immunity. Your words do not make law, and your threats have no place in this courtroom." Madison's mouth drops open for a moment, the first crack in her armor. Then she recovers, smirking with a sneer. "You think you can talk to me like that? Do you even know who I am? Do you understand what I can do?" The room tenses, every eye is locked on her, every breath held. But still, Judge Caprio doesn't raise his voice. His quiet power hums like electricity in the air. A soft murmur spreads through the audience. Drop a comment below if you've ever witnessed someone completely underestimate the weight of real authority. Madison steps closer, heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. Her phone buzzes incessantly in her hand, an iPhone 15 Pro Max, notifications from social media flooding her attention. She waves it carelessly. "Do you know how many followers I have? How far my voice reaches?" she says, almost pleading to be believed. "I won't be silenced." Judge Caprio finally leans forward, his voice cutting through her theatrics like a blade. "You speak of followers and influence, yet you are powerless here. Power is not in numbers, madam. It is in accountability, in respect, in the choices you make when you think no one is watching." The courtroom is utterly still. Even the air feels thick, heavy with anticipation. "Bah." Addison scoffs, turning to the audience. "This is ridiculous." But madam," Judge Caprio interrupts, voice calm but firm. "Enough. This court will not be intimidated. You may leave if you cannot act with decorum, or you may stay and learn what it truly means to be accountable." For the first time, her confident smirk wavers. Her hands tremble slightly as she adjusts her Gucci belt. Her lips tighten. The silence stretches, every second a ticking clock counting down to a decision she didn't expect to face. Her bravado, polished like her Prada shoes, begins to crack. The courtroom leans forward, everyone waits, every heartbeat thunders in the hush. Madison Carter, the sheriff's wife, the storm in designer labels, is confronted with a choice she never imagined, and just as she opens her mouth again, ready to defy the judge one last time. But what happened next left the entire courtroom speechless. The courtroom holds its breath as the clerk steps forward, holding a thick file bound with a navy blue ribbon. Madison Carter's eyes narrow, her grip tightening on the Louis Vuitton clutch. "What's that?" she snaps, her voice sharp and defensive. Judge Caprio doesn't respond immediately. He lifts a hand, and the room quiets even further. "This," he says slowly, deliberately, "is the evidence the court has received regarding your actions." His tone is calm, but each word lands like a hammer. The clerk opens the folder, revealing carefully organized photographs, receipts, and surveillance reports. There are clear images of Madison's reckless behavior, parking violations ignored, harassment complaints from local businesses, and a trail of expensive damages traced back to her influence. Every photograph is dated, every receipt verified. There's no ambiguity, no room for interpretation. The proof is undeniable. Madison's eyes flicker nervously. This isn't real," she mutters, attempting to mask her panic. Her voice wavers as she picks up one photograph, squinting. "This isn't me!" "Are you certain?" Judge Caprio asks, leaning forward just slightly. "Do you truly believe that the evidence in front of you can simply be ignored because it challenges your comfort?" A hush falls over the courtroom. Every spectator leans closer. Even the sheriff shifts uncomfortably in his seat, realizing that his wife's influence cannot erase what is documented before everyone present. The clerk continues, revealing a video transcript of a heated confrontation at a local boutique. Madison's words are captured clearly, demanding special treatment, berating staff, throwing threats, and flaunting her entitlement. Her Chanel earrings glint under the store lights, and her voice is unmistakable. "Do you understand the severity of these actions?" Judge Caprio asks. The courtroom waits. Madison's usual fire dims slightly, her lips pressed together in a thin line. The clerk places a final set of documents on the judge's bench, emails, text messages, and invoices showing patterns of misuse of authority and intimidation. One invoice lists damages to a BMW she supposedly borrowed temporarily without permission. Another email shows threats toward a community organizer who dared question her behavior. The evidence is overwhelming. Madison's hands shake. Her carefully curated image, the aura of untouchable wealth and status, begins to crumble under the weight of documentation. This isn't fair," she exclaims. Her voice cracks, just a little, revealing the fear she's tried so hard to mask. Judge Caprio's gaze is unwavering. "Fairness," he says, voice calm but sharp, "is measured not by influence, or wealth, or connections. Fairness is measured by accountability." "Are you prepared to answer for your actions, madam?" A rhetorical question hangs in the air, unspoken but felt by everyone. Can someone truly believe that privilege shields them from responsibility? Madison glances around, realizing the room has shifted. Spectators who were once neutral now whisper about the irony of entitlement meeting justice. She notices the subtle nods between the court staff and the bailiffs, each confirming that decorum and truth outweigh wealth. Drop a comment below if you think evidence can speak louder than any threat or title, because here, it is speaking volumes. Her bravado falters further when Judge Caprio gestures to the clerk. "You may proceed with the testimonies." One by one, witnesses recount experiences of intimidation, dismissive behavior, and reckless misuse of influence. Each testimony is calm, factual, and unwavering, leaving no room for misinterpretation. The courtroom listens, rapt. Madison's phone buzzes constantly in her hand, but she doesn't dare look. Social media, followers, reputation, they mean nothing here. The evidence, the stories, the law itself are louder than her curated world. The reality she has ignored for so long presses down on her, and for the first time, doubt creeps in. Judge Caprio leans forward, his eyes fixed on Madison. "Do you see now," he asks quietly, "that authority without accountability is nothing more than a fleeting illusion?" The room leans in. Every person waits for her next move, wondering if she will crumble or continue to defy the undeniable truth. And just as she opens her mouth to respond, The words she utters next leave the entire courtroom frozen, unable to breathe. Madison Carter's voice trembles, wavering between defiance and disbelief. You can't prove anything," she says, though the edge in her words has softened. The courtroom leans in, sensing the first crack in her armor. Even the sheriff shifts uncomfortably, realizing the storm he thought he could control is slipping through his fingers. Judge Caprio tilts his head, calm and unwavering. "Madam, evidence does not require belief. It only requires acknowledgement." His words hang in the air like a solemn bell tolling. The courtroom absorbs every syllable. A woman in the front row rises slowly. Her hands shake slightly, but her eyes are steady. "Your Honor," she begins, voice quiet but firm, "I've endured months of intimidation from Madison Carter. She threatened my family, called my work unethical, and demanded favors no one should ever be asked for." Her words cut through the tension like a knife. Madison's face pales, lips pressed together. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. Her Prada purse trembles in her hands as the reality sinks in. The victim continues, describing in detail the sleepless nights, the fear, the humiliation. The courtroom sits in stunned silence, hanging on every word. "Do you hear this, madam?" Judge Caprio asks softly, not angrily. "Do you understand that power used to intimidate is not power at all? It is a burden, a shadow over those who only wish to live honestly?" Madison swallows hard, her arrogance crumbling. Her Gucci belt tightens around her waist, constricting more than just fashion. Her pride is constricted too. The woman steps back, her testimony complete. A murmur rises through the courtroom, not of gossip, but of astonishment. People shake their heads, whispering about how someone so wealthy and entitled could be confronted with such undeniable human truth. The law, impartial and steady, has leveled the playing field. Madison Carter finally speaks, voice small, uncertain. I didn't mean," she falters. Her carefully crafted persona, the image of untouchable status, is gone. She's exposed, stripped of pretense, facing consequences she never imagined. Judge Caprio leans forward, hands resting on the bench. "Intent does not erase impact, madam. Words and actions have weight, whether intended or not. Do you understand the responsibility that comes with your privileges?" A rhetorical question hangs in the air. Can someone so accustomed to entitlement truly recognize the harm they have caused? Madison doesn't answer immediately. Her eyes dart around the courtroom, searching for an escape that doesn't exist. She sits down heavily, the defiance gone, replaced by something heavier, regret. For the first time, the Prada, the Chanel, the Louis Vuitton, the iPhone, all feel irrelevant. They cannot buy back the fear she caused, the trust she broke, the reputation she tarnished. Judge Caprio's voice softens, carrying not anger, but measured compassion. Accountability is not punishment for punishment's sake. It is an opportunity to reflect, to change, to make amends. Will you take that opportunity? The courtroom exhales collectively. Even the bailiffs, hardened by years of courtroom dramas, are silent. The sheriff fidgets uncomfortably in his seat, witnessing the unraveling of his wife's carefully controlled world. Madison's lips tremble. She nods slowly, almost imperceptibly. "I think I understand," she murmurs, barely audible. The courtroom leans in, every spectator sensing the turning point, the emotional climax that transforms anger and entitlement into vulnerability and realization. Hit that subscribe button if you love seeing truth and accountability triumph over arrogance. Judge Caprio's words seem to echo silently, an unspoken call to witness lessons learned. For the first time, tears glisten in Madison's eyes, unshielded by designer sunglasses or Instagram filters. The weight of her actions presses down on her shoulders. And yet, within that weight, there is the faintest glimmer of redemption. The courtroom watches, breathless, waiting to see if this spark will grow. But just when it seems Madison might finally accept responsibility, an unexpected twist shatters the fragile calm. Judge Frank Caprio rises slowly, the weight of the courtroom's anticipation pressing against every wall. His robe drapes over him like a mantle of justice, calm yet commanding. Every eye turns to him, every breath held. He doesn't shout, he doesn't demand attention. He simply begins to speak, and the room leans in, unable to look away. "Madam," he begins, voice low, deliberate, and unwavering. "The law is not swayed by wealth, titles, or influence. It does not bend for anger, nor tremble at threats. It is steady, it is impartial. And it is a mirror that reflects not only what we do but who we are. He pauses, letting the words sink in. Madison Carter shifts uncomfortably in her chair, the veneer of arrogance cracking further. The courtroom is silent, every person absorbing the depth of his message. You came here today believing your position, your connections, your status could shield you from accountability. But accountability is not selective. It does not recognize designer labels or the glint of a luxury watch. It recognizes truth. And the truth, he continues, eyes piercing, is that the choices you make impact those around you. The fear you instilled, the disrespect you displayed, the harm you caused, it cannot be erased by entitlement alone. A hush falls over the courtroom. Even the sheriff leans forward, realizing that his wife's privilege holds no power here. The audience feels the gravity of every word. Judge Caprio's voice rises slightly, not in anger, but with a solemn authority that resonates deep in the chest. Every action, every word, carries weight. Every threat, every misuse of influence, leaves a mark on people, on communities, and on your own conscience. Do you understand, madam, that true strength is not in intimidation, but in empathy? That courage is not in threats, but in acknowledging wrongs? A rhetorical question lingers, pressing like gravity against the room. Can Madison Carter comprehend the depth of responsibility she has long avoided? Her shoulders slump slightly, the reality settling in with undeniable force. Judge Caprio steps closer to the bench, leaning forward just enough to make his presence commanding, yet not overbearing. Redemption is always possible. It begins when arrogance is set aside. It begins when pride is humbled. And it begins when you recognize the human cost of your actions. Will you take that first step? The courtroom holds its breath. Madison swallows, trembling slightly, the designer jewelry and iPhone suddenly meaningless. The people she thought she could intimidate now watch, waiting for a choice that will define her. E continues, voice steady and resonant. Privilege is not a shield. Influence is not immunity. True character is revealed not in the power you wield, but in the compassion you show, the respect you give, and the courage to admit when you have been wrong. Brr. His silence stretches. Even the murmurs of gossip have vanished. Everyone present senses the weight of the moment, the magnitude of a judge who can transform humiliation into a lesson, confrontation into understanding, fear into reflection. Hit that subscribe button. If you believe justice is more than punishment, it's a chance for people to see themselves and change. His words echo in the minds of those present, a call for reflection and awareness. Madison's lips tremble. Tears form in her eyes as she nods, small, hesitant, but genuine. She has no choice but to face herself. The storm of anger, entitlement, and threats is fading, replaced by the heavy quiet of self-awareness. But just when it seems she might finally accept his words, the courtroom door swings open, and an unexpected figure enters, someone who changes everything. The courtroom door swings open, and a young man steps in, someone Madison recognizes instantly. It's the local community organizer she had dismissed, belittled, and threatened in the past. His expression is calm, unyielding, but there is no anger in his eyes, just truth. Madison's hands shake, her Prada clutch trembling. Every ounce of bravado she clung to has vanished. The courtroom is silent, every person sensing that the moment of reckoning has arrived. Judge Caprio's gaze softens but remains piercing. The young man approaches the bench, holding a simple envelope. "Your Honor," he says, voice steady, "I came to testify, but I also came to show that even the smallest acts of kindness can change someone." Despite everything, Madison has shown willingness to acknowledge her mistakes today. That deserves recognition. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. The sheriff leans back, astonished. Madison's lips part, a tear slipping down her cheek. The weight of judgment and entitlement crashes into the possibility of redemption, a concept she had never considered before. Judge Caprio nods slowly. "Madam," he says, voice calm yet resonant, "karma is not vengeance. Karma is truth returning. You have seen the consequences of your actions. You have heard the voices of those affected. Now it is your choice how to move forward. Will you allow this moment to transform you?" Madison swallows hard, breath shaky, and for the first time, she speaks without defiance. I want to make it right. I want to fix the harm I caused." Her voice is small but genuine. The courtroom leans forward, sensing the miracle unfolding, entitlement giving way to accountability, pride replaced by humility. Judge Caprio smiles faintly. Redemption is always possible. And it is in that choice, that acknowledgement, that we find the true power of justice. The young man hands Madison the envelope. Inside is a handwritten note from several community members, expressing willingness to guide her in making amends and contributing positively. Tears spill freely now, her carefully constructed world of Prada, Chanel, Gucci, and iPhones, replaced by genuine human connection and humility. Spectators quietly applaud. Not for punishment served, but for transformation witnessed. The sheriff sits, speechless, realizing that no title or badge can shield anyone from the truth of their actions. Madison turns to him, her eyes glistening. I understand now. I've been blind, but I want to change. Rhetorical question echoing silently. Can someone truly embrace the lessons of karma and accountability when their entire life has been built on entitlement? Madison's nod answers it without words. Judge Caprio rises, voice strong and comforting. Remember, accountability is not shame. Redemption is not weakness. Courage lies in humility, and strength lies in kindness. Today, a lesson was learned, not just for one, but for all present. May it inspire each of us to act with integrity, even when it is hard. Madison takes a deep breath, embracing the moment. A weight lifts from the room as the storm of arrogance and threats dissolves into quiet reflection. Every eye in the courtroom feels it. The undeniable, miraculous shift from conflict to understanding, from anger to compassion, from entitlement to true accountability. Hit that subscribe button. Judge Caprio's words seem to echo in the minds of everyone watching, because justice is not just about law, it is about heart. And today, hearts have changed. The courtroom empties slowly, leaving Madison standing quietly, tears rolling down, humbled and transformed. Karma has arrived, not as punishment, but as clarity. The viral story of a sheriff's wife threatened with court closure becomes a tale of redemption, a lesson shared for years to come. The whispers of transformation ripple beyond the walls of the courthouse, leaving everyone wondering, could this be the beginning of a completely new legacy?